Right then, let's try this microphone with well, not a pop filter on, but like a foam guard. So Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled pepper. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled pepper, where's the peck of pickled pepper Peter Piper picked?
What did I say?
During the meanwhilest.
During the meanwhilest. No, I
No,
don't
no.
like that at all.
Hello, it is us at the at the zoo again, and it's the first of 3 music-based videos over this week. Got my sweet T-shirt on today, and we're beginning with a film all about films, really, for you. I guess today, now, as a music lover, it follows that I would also love films based around music. Now, not musicals as such, though. I'm not a huge jazz hand musical theatre fan, though I have seen We Will Rock You twice, Chicago under duress while in London with work, and Mamma Mia, although that was very much a present for Lisa's 40th birthday many years ago. But films where music is either the subject or right of the heart of the movie, they really, tug at my heartstrings. So I have seen the Rocky Horror Show twice as well, though I didn't feel the need to dress or makeup, even though I do look particularly fetching in stilettos and a basque, but enough of my Tuesday evenings out. That's too much information, isn't it? Right, I grew up naturally, given my age, watching those wonderful Beatles films and absolutely loved them all. Even the Magical Mystery Tour, although I confess at the probable age of 8 when I saw it, I had no idea what it was all about. Still don't, if I'm honest. I mean, after all, I am the walrus. Who is the walrus? What is the walrus? I don't know. Anyway, in this video, I'm going to tell you all about some of my most favourite movies, and I'll kick off with a couple of films that just have absolute perfect soundtracks, really. American Graffiti and Quadrophenia. There we are. Both are very much set in a similar time, the early 60s. But that really is where all the similarities end. American Graffiti is pure Americana, bubblegum rock and roll, and one of my most favourite movies of all time, up there with Gladiator. The soundtrack really just can't be bettered, and the imagery of an incredibly prosperous post-World War II and pre-Vietnam conflict America is just wonderful, really. The film follows the fortunes of a number of characters as they negotiate a school prom night, and all the shenanigans that surround it. Things like, racing in the street, and chasing romance. It's a laugh out loud comedy, though, and you get a real feel for the characters. It's a true masterpiece of a film. And the excellent Richard Dreyfuss and a very young but equally superb Ron Howard from the Waltons are in it too. Quadrophenia, on the other hand, is a much grittier and far more angry film based around the new mod scene and the running seaside battles between the sharp-suited mods and their sworn enemy, the greasy leather-clad rockers. It's ultimately about, letdown and disappointment, this film, though. And if you've not seen it, I'm not going to spoil it for you. The soundtrack is a mix of songs, mainly from The Who, of course, along with fantastic tracks from artists like James Brown and the Ronettes. And it also features, I believe anyway, Sting's acting debut as the Face, the main mod man, and the bellboy. Right, cast aside though, both are wonderful films and are not to be missed. Next up, I have a couple of spoof films in the shape of The Ruttles and Spinal Tap. Now, while The Ruttles is obviously a spoof of the Fab Four, the band influencing Spinal Tap is very much a mystery. I mean, rumours are that both Status Quo and Uriah Heep were used when coming up with the idea. The Ruttles is a product of Eric Idle from Monty Python and that part-time Python Neil Innes, who's an incredibly talented musician and songwriter in his own right. It follows the band from its formation, its days and nights in Hamburg, all the successes and controversies, and right up to that messy rooftop breakup, featuring the prefab four, I know, Dirk, Stig, Ron and Nasty, There are spoofs of all the Beatles films, from A Hard Day's Rut to the Tragical History Tour, and there's even a cameo from the one and only Mick Jagger, and the real one, the real Mick Jagger, that is. The songs really are quite incredible and a real testimony to Neil Innes' abilities as a composer and arranger. Oh, yes, they are all achingly similar to the Beatles tracks they ape, but nonetheless very, very catchy. Ultimately, though, it's just a very, very funny film, and yes, it is all about the trousers.
What about their trousers?
Well, they were very, tight.
Tight?
Yes, you could see quite clearly.
Oh, I see.
Everything. Outlines. Clear as day.
Yes, thank you. Yes. So, tight trousers and
nothing
noise.
left to the imagination.
Tap is just a wonderfully funny movie looking at a British band and following its members as they try to reconquer America and largely fail as the tour falls apart with interband wranglings, record company letdowns, girlfriend troubles and, believe it or not, exploding drums at the fore of it all. But the former are firmly put in their place for the triumphant finale. Now, while pure fiction, it probably isn't too far away from what life as a touring rock band in its twilight years was really like, apart from the legendary Stonehenge scene. Well, probably anyway. The music itself is quite a decent listen, especially if you're like a hard rock fan. And the accents the American actors adopt are so realistic, you really would think they are British. Incidentally, the bass player, Derek Smalls, is played by Harry Shearer, responsible for voicing several characters in The Simpsons. Now, I actually saw Spinal Tap perform at the Freddie Mercury tribute at Wembley Stadium in 1992.
Any requests? Get off the what?
They only played the one song, thank God, and not one from the movie either, but I was surprised to find they actually played their own instruments.
There's a pulse in the newborn sun, a beat in the heat of noon.
No lip syncing, no miming, and no, the drummer did not explode at the end either. Again, both these films are must views. Two films starring real bands next, and firstly, A is for Anvil, the story of Anvil. No spoof here. This is a sometimes gritty, often funny, but always entertaining real-life story of getting Anvil back together and back touring again. That is a theme, isn't it? Anvil is an early protagonist of thrash metal, inspiring bands like Metallica, Megadeth and Slayer, and they really should have gone on to be absolutely massive. The film, a documentary I suppose, follows the band on its comeback tour as they deal with all the problems being on the road brings. Now, besides being funny and hugely entertaining, directed by former band roadie Sasha Gavazzi, you find yourself truly emotionally invested in the band members and really wishing them every success. Watch it, even if thrash metal is not your thing. It certainly isn't mine, and I absolutely love this film and the band members for it. It is truly a warts and all tale of a band that had it all, lost it, and are ultimately trying to get some of it back, going heavily into personal debt along the way too. Think, okay, loosely then maybe the Blues Brothers, but with a double bass drum. Anvil, by the way, are still recording and touring with original members Steve Lips Kudlow on guitar and Rob Reiner, not the film director, thumping away on the drums. In a no way similar vein is Led Zeppelin's The Song Remains the Same, now released to accompany the live album of the same name. It's a mix of the life of a massively successful mega band on the road, live concert footage and, well, just some really strange imagery as the concert footage is interspersed with pure fantasy sequences really, including some really quite gory moments. I prefer the actual concert performance parts of the film though, and the soundtrack record is purely the performance. But it's a, shall we say, interesting watch. This brings me on to the final two films on my list, The Blues Brothers, have I mentioned them already, and High Fidelity. Now everyone has seen The Blues Brothers, right? Surely there's no need for me to elaborate, but it's a laugh-a-minute escapade as the brothers Jake and Elwood Blues, having recently been released from prison, look to put their old band back together, wreaking havoc and evading the long arm of the law and their probation officer all along the way. Anyone who's been in a small covers band will find some of the scenes familiar, perhaps, but otherwise it's a gloriously funny film and with a killer soundtrack to match. And if you haven't seen it, then you absolutely must. It contains one of my most favourite lines from any movie, when the brothers, on being asked if they are policemen, reply, "Well, I'll let them say it for you."
Are you the police?
No, ma'am. We're musicians.
That's right up there with Russell Crowe's "On My Command, Unleash Hell" line. High Fidelity is based on the novel of the same name by Nick Hornby. It tells of a record store owner and his musically obsessed staff, including the wonderfully over-the-top Jack Black, and again is a hugely funny film. Originally based on a London record shop, but moved to Chicago for the silver screen. Every town and city once had a record store like the one in the film. My home city certainly had, and still has one, luckily, in the shape of Derek's Records. And if you ever ventured into town and spent your Saturday mornings in such a shop, or made a mixtape for a girl or a boy you once fancied, come on, own up, we've all done it, you will instantly be transported back in time to those happy times while the shop owner breaks the fourth wall to talk to the audience and, kind of like keep us up to speed with the happenings in the film. Oh, and there's a love story too, but we'll gloss over that bit. So those are my all-time favourite music-based movies. There are many others I could have mentioned, including, of course, Bohemian Rhapsody, but as a huge Queen fan, I just couldn't bring myself to talk about it and its many shortcomings and inaccuracies. It's a whole video in its own right, if I do. Anyway, let me know in the comments if I've missed any of your favourite music-based films, because I'm always on the lookout for something new to watch. Right then, until Tuesday, when we'll be examining some highlights from my vinyl 7-inch singles collection, just be nice, okay? And go and watch some films. All right, see you then. Ta-ra.